Welcome back, everyone. I'm Robbie.
And I'm Liam.
And we finally have the final chapter in the How to Train Your Dragon series. It's been 5 years, been waiting for this film. It's The Hidden World. These are our thoughts.
Hit it!
There were dragons when I was a boy. Where they went, only a few know. Our story changed the world forever. We did it! The world's first dragon Viking utopia.
Your utopia, maybe. Mine's less crowded and more... Oh! Sanitary.
Hey, bud, wait up! Oh my God, he's not the only one.
She's a light fury.
Oh, sorry.
How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World was directed once again by Dean DeBlois, who returns from the first two films, and it stars the voice talents of Jay Baruchel, Kate Blanchett, America Ferrera, Gerard Butler, and F. Murray Abraham. And the film is set approximately a year after the events of How to Train Your Dragon 2. So Hiccup is now the chief of Burke, and he has to face the difficult decision of either staying at their home and being exposed to some very bad people who want to kill the dragons, or leave their home of 7 generations, I think they say, and start a whole new life somewhere else. In comes Grimmel, who is voiced by F. Murray Abraham, who is essentially the Night Fury killer. He is the reason why Toothless is essentially the last of his species, and he's a foe that unlike anything they've faced before.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you think of the movie?
I thought it was a wonderful little animated film. I'm a big fan of the first one, and I really like the second one, and to me this is just another great installment. It's a wonderful way to finish the trilogy.
I'm very glad they stuck to their guns and they made it a trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely. See, there's a benefit to having a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Benefit to having a plan from the beginning. And I thought it was great. What about you?
So this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I loved the first one so much. It's one of my, the franchise as a whole is one of my all-time favorite animated films. It's one of my all-time favorite films. Toothless and Hiccup, their friendship is one of my most memorable on-screen friendships of all time. Toothless is one of my favorite characters of all time on screen. So I had very, very high expectations for this film, and it didn't disappoint. It was the finale I think the franchise deserved. You can see that Dean DeBlois had a plan from the beginning. From the outset, he said he didn't want to sign onto the trilogy, onto the series, unless DreamWorks agreed it would be a trilogy, no more, no less. He wanted to carve out a complete story from beginning, middle, end,
Mm-hmm.
and this one is, without a doubt, the concluding chapter. It has finality to it. There is no little teasers or Easter eggs to go forward. It all ends, which is great to see in an animated film, because so often they just keep milking it and milking it. Shrek being a great example.
Toy Story 4.
Toy Story 4. So I'm very glad that they stuck to that, and yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
First things first, let's talk about how this film looks, because it's beautiful. It's one of the finest animated films that I've seen in the last few years, actually. It's got some beautiful scenery, and they actually said, because I was watching some interviews about the making of the film,
Roger Deakins.
that it was, and it was also one of their most expensive films that they've made, and it really pays off. Every frame is a painting, and it's gorgeous.
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The first one, they wanted to set aside traditional animation techniques, and they wanted to set the film apart, and so they brought in amazing cinematographer Roger Deakins to help with the visuals, and you can really see, like, it's lit like a live action film, and the whole film just looks amazing.
Yeah, it's visually very appealing. And that's one of the things that I love about this film and I love about the first two, is the fact that a lot of animated filmmakers forget the fact that they are making a film. It's not just an animated film. And this is treated with just as much care as the biggest budget production.
It's epic. The films are epic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a large-scale film with wonderfully small-scale characters that have great chemistry. And once again, the chemistry between Hiccup and Toothless is beautiful.
Just one point. Jay Baruchel is perfect as Hiccup. He's got just a wonderful quality to his voice that really complements the character of Hiccup.
And you can tell that he's grown in confidence.
Yeah. Like the character himself.
Over the films.
Definitely.
It's been a wonderful little progression.
And I love seeing, because you don't often see in animated films when characters age over time.
Yeah. A lot of the time they just stay the same age.
Yeah. This one of the things that made Toy Story so special. And this one follows in that same tradition where Hiccup ages over the course of the three films. You know, he starts off in the first one as a insecure teenager. Second one, he is an adolescent who is learning kind of where he fits in the world. And in this one, it's him struggling with being an adult and taking charge of his own life. And dealing with things that come up in life that aren't easy decisions. And that's one thing I love about the entire trilogy, that they actually quote in this film. They say, you know, love is one of the greatest gifts, but with love comes heartbreak. And they fully tap into that in all three films, but in this one, really, they drive that home. And without ruining the finale, it is extremely satisfying.
Yeah. Out of the three films, it has the best ending of the three. And it's great because it's the ending to not only that film in particular, but it's also an ending to the trilogy. Let's talk about one of the things that I was initially worried about for the film, and that's this one.
The Light Fury.
I watched the trailer, and I thought, wow, this is a very kids movie thing to do, is to add a female counterpart for the male to fall in love with and, you know, be cutesy and dumb. And I thought, man, I'm betting. I told my friends, I bet that this is going to be the worst aspect of the film. And it wasn't.
It was great.
It was actually really sweet.
With one of the scenes being the standout for me when Toothless has to try and impress her. God, that was funny.
Yeah. It was really touching. It was really sweet.
Oh, definitely. And what do you think of just the story as a whole?
I thought the story was great, and the way that they told it was really good. There are a couple of moments in the film where they had the Jonah Hill character, who's such a tryhard, and personally for me, I don't enjoy it. It's a bit too kiddie, I guess. And then you have what's her name? Kristen Wiig?
Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig's character.
Tough Nut.
Yeah, and then T.J. Miller.
Which wasn't T.J. Miller.
Wasn't he T.J. Miller?
No, he wasn't in this film.
Sounded just like him.
Yeah, they recast.
Well, good. But yeah, I don't really enjoy those sort of comedic scenes. To me, that's the weakest part of not just this film, just like all three films, is that they have quite a few lines that are very much, the kids are going to enjoy those ones, but I'm just sitting there like blank-faced.
I agree with you with that. That for me, they are the weaker points of the film, but they're so fleeting, those moments, and the overall story of Hiccup and Toothless and the general overall story.
It overshadows
it. completely overshadows that for me.
Yeah.
And like those moments don't at all take down the film from the level I keep it at. The music, I have to talk about the music. John Powell has done, I think, his best work with this trilogy. Oh my god, that theme. It is so good. Right from when I first heard in the first film, and it carries through, and not just the main flying theme, but the other themes he weaves in and out. It's easily my favorite of all his scores, and I think well, for me personally, it's one of my all-time favorite movie themes. It is just incredible.
That sense of adventure it gives
and
off
it elevates,
fantastic.
and it's got just so much emotion driving through it. And
I think that when it comes to these three films, this isn't a knock against this film in particular, but I think it does have the weakest of the three, just because it adds the least. But at the same time, it's still good. It's still very, very good, very pleasing to the ears. And when it does do the reprisals of the main themes of the film, the first two films, it's fantastic. Yeah. And what it does add is really, really good. But I just think it's just not quite as good as the score on this bad boy here. Yeah. But it's... I agree, it's one of my favourite themes. It's one of the most memorable themes I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah, it's stunning.
Beautiful.
And just the last couple of things. So Grimmel is the main bad guy in here, and as we said, he is the Night Fury killer. And he is voiced exceptionally well by F. Murray Abraham. And some people might complain that he is a bit too simplistic of a villain.
I'm in that boat.
Which I completely agree with. But at the same time, I don't look at it as a weakness of the film, because the villains have never been the point of any of these films. The villains have just been a way to propel the story forward and to give conflict to what is the main purpose of the film, and that is the friendship story.
Well, the great thing about the first one is the fact that there is no villain.
There is no villain, no.
And once that piece is established, you do have to introduce someone who wants to break that piece. And I think that the villain from the second film is better than the villain in this one.
Well, Drago leads to pretty much the biggest heartbreak in the entire series, which is so big a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I loved that. And to me, the villain in this film didn't really have much of an impact, but at the same time, he wasn't the focus of the story.
No.
He was there to cause conflict. The conflict that he caused was great.
To drive them out of their home.
But honestly, I don't think I'm going to really remember him that much.
No.
But that's a pretty inconsequential thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what are you giving it?
I'm giving this one a really, really strong 3.5 stars. I really loved it. It also borders on 4 stars, but there are things like the simplistic villain and the comedy that don't really gel with me and sort of take away from my enjoyment. But as soon as I'm taken out of it, and it goes to a scene with Toothless and Hiccup, I'm back in the film, and I really enjoyed it. I think that this is a great trilogy. It's something that anyone of any age can really enjoy, and yeah, I highly recommend it. What about you, Robbie?
This was the first one I saw this year, obviously, because the year just started. And what an amazing start to the year for me. This has set a benchmark for any film coming for the rest of the year to top. And I think this is going to be a strong candidate to make into my top 5 films at the end of the year. It's an easy 5 stars for me, like the first 2. It is just a perfect trilogy. I absolutely love it. I was in tears by the end because it was such a emotional farewell to the franchise. You're saying goodbye to Hiccup and Toothless, who we've been with since 2010, and it was just such a fitting ending and beautiful ending, an amazing story of friendship, and it's just so touching. It goes for the heartstrings, and it's just a beautiful film.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
We are no longer safe here. We all have to disappear, completely off the map. We have to fight for their freedom. Come on, bud!
You're nothing without your dragon.
Attack! Show them what you got, bud. Save him. It's you and me, bud. Always.
Anyway, guys, those were our thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Let us know what you thought.
One thing, it does kind of bug me that it's Hidden World, not How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's not consistent. If the second one had a subtitle as well, it would make sense. You got How to Train Your Dragon, blah, 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 and then How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. But no, it goes How to Train Your Dragon, How to Train Your Dragon 2, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, and it's really annoying.
Yeah.
Not aesthetically pleasing. Anyway, let us know what you thought of the actual film, though. And our next review is going to be of Vice, which is a bit of a change of pace.
Christian Bale's big Golden Globe win.
Mm-hmm. And we're also going to work on a little bit of a treat for you. A little bit different. And until then, we'll see you at the movies.